Hey, y'all. What's up? What's up? What's up? Oh, I'm so excited to be back again. So, hey guys, this is Sonja with SonjaWCoaching, and we are back again with the Intentional Living podcast with Sonja W. And as usual, I'm back again to assist you with starting off your week with a little less chaos. Now, listen. I'm excited about today because we've been talking about leveling up, okay? 2 weeks ago, we talked about how I realized that I needed to level up, okay? Because, child, listen, with this new position and then work and life, I was like, oh, or church and life, because work, that's where the new position. Anyway, I needed to level up myself. So then last week we broke down a couple of things on what to do to level up. And then now today, as I've been kind of going through this whole leveling up situation myself, I have realized that some of the things that you just got to do is get back to the basics. So we're going to talk about that today, okay? But before we get into that, that's our intentional living topic of the week, right? But before we do that, of course, we break down the good things, right? What are some of the good things that happened in your life last week so that you can prepare well for this week? Then we're going to talk about what's on the docket, because the whole point to this podcast is that we're taking a moment to actually review our week and get ready for the week ahead. Because it's so important to not go into your week blindly, but to actually know, okay, I got these appointments, I got that appointment. How can I fit this into the life that I want to live, right? And then we're going to break down the intentional topic as I talked about. And then finally, we're going to end with prayer, because prayer is so key. And honestly, everything that I do and everything that I want you to do to live your life intentionally. Okay. So let's get into it. The good things. First of all, by the way, if you want to join me in this intentional living life with some merch, it's available now. Links below. I have a cool little green, because green's my favorite color, sweatshirt that says intentional living, because it's just something to remember in your life. And I got a couple other things. Speak well. I think those are the two that I have. And then I have a really cool one. I wore it last week. I don't have it with me, but another one that says soft life, and it crosses out with the word intentional, because I've talked about this a while ago, but I don't believe that we're just to live the soft life. We are to live the intentional life. And if soft life is part of being intentional for you, then that's the life you live. But we're going to be intentional about what we do. Okay. So anyway, let's get into today. The good things. Ooh, last week was a good week. Last week was a tiring week, but it was a good week. So a couple of the things that I got to do last week was first, so our church has groups in seasons, right? And this is the fall season. It launched last week, and I went to my first group last week, and it was amazing. One thing that I wanted to be a little bit more intentional about is having community of older women around me, because the Bible talks about, I think it's in Titus 2:3, where it talks about the older women are to mentor the younger women and blah 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 blah, right? So I was like, I want that. And I found a group that does exactly like that. It's called Women Cultivating Women. So we had our first get together last week, and you know how you need something, but you don't know how much you need it till you're there. That's what that was for me. It was so good. It was so refreshing just to have conversation with women. Now, I already got friends, so that's fun, but also to hear the wisdom of older women and to hear the hearts of older women, right? So I'm excited about this semester. We meet again tomorrow. So excited. Tomorrow is Tuesday. If you're catching this after the live stream. By the way, if you're catching this on the podcast or after the live stream, go ahead and put something in the comments so that I know that you were here. And tell me a couple of good things that happened in your life. Another cool and good thing that happened for me this past week was that I went to a winery with my cousins, and it was so good. One thing again that I've talked about this a while ago. I should probably bring this up around again. I mean, this is that when we get back to that program focused series, because we still on that too. Okay. I just had to take a break to tell y'all about how I needed to level up and how y'all need to too. But anyway, when we get back to program focus, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about life plans. I've talked about it before, and you can always scroll back and look for it. But that is a key thing, and one of the parts of a life plan is breaking down those 6 key areas of your life that you want to see flourish, right? And one of the key areas for me is family. So I wanted to try to cultivate something a little bit more with some of my cousins, and we were like, let's go to a winery together. Now not everybody got to go, so we're gonna have to do another one, but it was just so refreshing and so much fun just to hang out, just to talk, just to relax, and catch up with my cousins, with my family. So that was a really, really good thing. Oh, and then another good thing. Okay, so I'm in this like business accelerator type thing, and it was so funny. The first thing that they're focusing on is the mind, right? And one of the things that she asked about was to get real detailed about your dream house, your dream life, all that kind of stuff. And I realized that I already do a lot of that. Now she wanted me to get real specific about the dream house, so I'm gonna have to do that. Um, but like I was looking at my life plan and it has all of that in there. Like it has the fact of what I want to do with my finances, the things that I want to buy, the things that I want to see in my life already in it. So I was like, well, look at me doing the stuff that I'm supposed to do, you know? But it is key. Like when you have a vision, what is the verse says that without vision our people perish, or the people perish, right? You perish without having vision. You just live life day to day when you don't have vision, when you don't have a focus on your life. And so it was just really, really good to realize that, one, I'm already running down the right track when it comes to these types of things, and two, I'm teaching y'all the way of great business leaders and great people who live an awesome life, right? If you need help, honestly, if you need help with writing out your own life plan, holler at me, send me a message, we can sort it out, okay? But I think it was just so poignant to see, like, oh, okay, it is right to have a good vision for where you want to go in life. And I'm glad that I had it pretty much written up. All right. So anyway, that was all the good things that happened last week. Last week was a great one. I'm telling you, it was tiring though. I'm gonna have to figure out, because this with this business thing, she has like late lives, and I'm like, I be going to bed at like 8:30. Like this is hard, but it's worth it. All right. So what is on the docket? So for me, what's on the docket? Meetings, meetings, and more meetings. This is my new life in my work. I have meetings all week long, and there's a couple of things that I need to kind of finalize for a panel that I'm going to be on for work. So that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be working on some contract things that we need to get sorted out in at work. So that's work is going to be pretty busy. Life, or life outside of work, two, is going to be groups. I'm so excited for the second meeting of the Women Cultivating Women group. And then two, I'm actually going to start another group. It's called Freedom Reloaded. It's like the second level of freedom. We have freedom groups at our church, right? So super excited about that too. And then just making sure that I get to the gym. That's really that's really it for me. And then because we're coming to the end of September and coming to the end of another quarter, October starts the beginning of the last quarter of the year, and that is going to be next week. Can you believe that? So I'm taking a little bit of extended time off. I was thinking about leaving here, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I can't think of where I want to go. If y'all have any ideas for where I should go, if I go anywhere real quick, it'll be Friday afternoon through Saturday. Just let me know. Because I was thinking about leaving, but I was like, I don't know where I would want to go. So I'm probably not going to leave. I got a massage scheduled. That's what I got. Now that's what I'm looking forward to. Okay. All right. Because also my trainer is like, we're back in here and we're going to kill every muscle that you have. So I need this massage. All right. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Let's get into the intentional topic of the week. So, like I mentioned before, we've been talking about how to level up, right? When we start to see that our life is going crazy, sometimes that's an indication that it's time to level up our systems, right? And I talked about what I talked about 3 weeks ago, how to recognize that I needed to level up. Last week we broke down the 5 things to start leveling up, and that's taking a moment to realize that you need to capture, clarify, organize, and then honestly, the big thing that to do is pray, right? So that you can get some clarity on what this new season of your life is supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like. Well, as I was still going through this process for myself, one thing that I realized is that one way to help yourself level up is to get back to the basics. And that's what we're going to talk about. Literally getting back to the basics of what you have done before. Now, if you've never had any systems before, then check out some of my earlier podcast videos, or actually just browse the YouTube channel, because I break down ways to set up a to-do list, key ways to keep yourself organized. Like, I have all types of like videos on that already, so you can check those out. But if you already had some stuff that you used to do and you're realizing that it's time to level up, let's get back to the basics. When I was studying this and like looking at trying to decide, like, Lord, how should I talk about this, or what should I talk about, right? The first thing that popped up in my mind was when God was like, you forgotten your first love in Revelation. Okay. And this is not the same context, because he's talking about your relationship with him. He's not talking about organizing, but it was the first thing that I thought of, because I thought that was really, really key. So I'm going to read it. It's Revelation 2, and I'm going to read 2 through 5.5. Okay. I'm not going to read the full of 5, the full verse of 5. So it says, I know your works, your labor, and your endurance, and that you cannot tolerate evil people. Right. Of course, it's really specific. You have tested those who call themselves apostles and are not. You have found them to be liars, and you have found them to be liars. I want to focus on that first part, though. It says, I know your works, your labor, your endurance. The Lord is like, I know your works. I know that you've been working hard. I know that you've been doing a whole lot. You tired, right? Then he goes on in verse 3. I know you have persevered and endured hardships for the sake of my name, right? So for this, he's really talking about, your relationship with God. You've endured hardships in the sake of Jesus's name, right? Well, even thinking about that in your own life, you've endured hardships in trying to do this life well, right? You've endured all the struggles, all the tiredness of trying to figure out, how do I do all the things and not fall apart? And then it says, but I have this against you. You have abandoned the love that you had at first. Remember then how far you have fallen. Repent and do the works that you did at first. Now, again, like I've been mentioning, I want to make sure it's clear. This is not talking about organization. It is talking about that section of Revelation is talking about your relationship with God, your first love. But as I was going through this whole let's level up life, that was the first thing that popped in my head. What was the first things that I did? Am I still doing them? So I encourage you to think about that. First of all, think about that for your own relationship with God, okay? Get back to your first love. But then also think about that with your organization, with your living intentionally. Get back to the basics, okay? So let me talk through a couple of things to do to help you get back there, okay? Number 1, ID the basic things that you used to do to keep yourself organized. What did you used to do? So for me, it was really being religious about writing my big 3 in my planner. It used to be really religious about writing notes about what's happening and all that kind of stuff. Really religious about doing brain dumps often to keep my mind still, right? We talked about that, still like water, in a few weeks ago. So I realized I wasn't doing some of these things, right? So first of all, ID the basics. I ID'd a couple of the basics that I do, right? Then ask yourself some key questions about those basics, each one. So number 1, in this season, were you doing those things regularly? For me, I knew I wasn't doing the brain dumps regularly. I wasn't doing my note taking as well. Like I was writing notes, but it wasn't how I used to. Okay. So I encourage you, do the same thing for yourself. Look at the basic things that you did in life, right? How was your routines? What are some of the things that you used to do? Are you doing them still? All right. If no, then the next question is, or the next step is probably just to try them out again. Get really regular with doing those things that you used to do and see if that helps you. If yes, you have been doing them, ask the question, does it still work? And I realized for me, some of those things weren't working as well. I wasn't doing them regularly, but I wasn't doing them regularly because they didn't work as well. So I already started kind of working through, and I'll talk about a couple of things that I changed to help me and see how it's changing, right? So does it still work? And then another question to ask yourself is there something that you can tweak? Okay. So there's kind of three main questions. Well, one first, ID the basics. Then the three main questions in this season, are you doing them regularly? If no, perhaps just try them out for a couple of weeks. Just do it again. Go back to the basics. Get real basic with your life and just do it again for a couple of weeks and then test it with these next questions. If yes, ask yourself, does it still work? And then ask yourself, is there something that you can tweak? Now, do that through everything that you have already identified as your basics, right? So what did that look like for me? Or what does that look like for me? Because I'm still trying to work through this myself, okay? So it looks like me going back to regular brain dumps. I haven't actually got back to that yet, but I realized as I was preparing for this that I haven't been doing my regular brain dumps. And that is probably why sometimes I feel a little frazzled. So I'm going to get back to doing my brain dumps. Another thing that I did was changing the note-taking system that I use for work. So I used to have a notebook that I would write notes in and all that kind of stuff, or a legal pad. I got one right here. Matter of fact, I actually started using the legal pad a little bit more again. But one thing that I actually started to really do is actually use some software that I have. It's called OneNote. I don't know if you've heard of it. I never really used it before, like really effectively. And then I was like, let me try this thing out. And I actually have organized myself. I've organized a notebook for each one of my teams. And as I'm thinking through it, I'm probably going to build like a task list, like an overall task list. So I know to go to that task list or put those specific tasks in that task list so that I can keep track of it. Like I'm actually getting kind of excited about where I'm going to be, how I'm going to be kind of tweaking it. But I had started, I'm such an intentional living nerd. I am. Anyway, so I'm gonna start kind of like I'm still fiddling, not start. I'm still fiddling with how that taking system is gonna work for me, but it's actually really working pretty well so far. And then I switched my schedule up. Now I did this a while back because I realized that I needed to switch some things up, and it actually was the perfect way to switch up my life. Like I wake up earlier now, but I realized that I had to work out in the morning. So I wake up, I work out, I pray, and then I get ready for work. Because I realized doing it any other way did not work for me. Waiting to the end of the day, I wasn't leaving my house to go to nobody's gym after working hard all day. No. So like I had to figure out what works, and that has actually worked really well for me. Now, I need to get to getting to bed early enough. That's still a struggle for me. Okay. And when I say early enough, y'all gonna laugh at me. Um, Early enough is like 8:30. It's wild. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but we working on it. Okay. So anyway, y'all, I'm super excited about the prospects of you guys getting back to the basics so that you can level up. Okay. I broke down those three questions. Well, four things, right? ID your basics, then ask those three questions. You can always listen back and write them down. But let's get into the last step of the day. And that is our Dream Boost prayer. You know, we got to end this thing off with some prayer, right? Because prayer, I don't like the cliche, but I like the cliche. Prayer changes things. Okay. So let's get into it. Here's the Dream Boost prayer. Lord, show us the path back to our first love. Show us how to ID the things that brought us closer to our intentional life, and give us wisdom to update, alter, refine, so that we can truly live life intentionally. All right, y'all. Y'all know you can catch the replay at any time on YouTube, Spotify, all the things. Okay. And let me know how you're gonna level up, how you're gonna get back to the basics this week. Okay. See y'all next week.